If we talk about the pure fruit, the berries, primary aromas. If you talk about the coconut and the vanilla, or sometimes the banana, for example, well, that's from fermentation, from the aging at the winery. If we talk about the leather, the forest floor, the earthy characters, that's more often than not from tertiary aromas, the aging and the maturation of the wine inside your bottle. What is up guys, Julien here, the French winemaking guy who makes wine videos here on YouTube, yes, wine videos, and this is episode 27 of the TWWJ series, the Talking Wine with Julien series, this series where I just share in relatively short videos my knowledge and my thoughts about wine as a wine professional that has studied, and as a former winemaker as well, I know quite a lot about the chemistry. Here on this channel, my aim is to share everything that I know about wine. This is going to take a while because there is a lot to share, but the TWWJ series is more for wine students, for wine professionals or wine connoisseurs that do want to go quite deep into their understanding of wine. Yesterday I made a video talking about aromas of wine and why grapes are so perfect and fantastic for making fantastic fine and complex alcoholic beverage, better than any other fruit. Today I wanted to talk a little bit about the three main families of aromas. If you're studying for wine certification, the WSET, the Master Sommelier type of certifications, you would have heard wine professionals talk about those three families of aromas: primary aromas, secondary aromas, and tertiary aromas. So what are those about? I'll try to keep it relatively short. Primary aromas are all the aromas that come from the grapes themselves. As we talked about yesterday, grapes have a broad spectrum of fruity aromas. All other fruits have a very distinctive aroma signature. A lemon smells like a lemon, an orange like an orange, a strawberry like a strawberry. Wine can smell of all of that because it's got different compounds in smaller concentration than other fruits for the most part. But all of those compounds are present in different grapes depending on the terroir, the maturity level of the grapes, the grape variety itself. Different grapes smell like different fruit as well. So all of those fruity aromas, the majority of the fruity aromas are primary aromas. We are gonna be having the citrus here, the stone fruit, the floral characters. We're going to be having all the red berries as well, and also some tropical characters. Primary aromas come from the grapes. Some grapes are going to have a very strong signature, like Sauvignon Blanc, for example, Cabernet Sauvignon, the blackcurrant, the Muscat are going to have a lot of primary aromas. Second type of aromas are the secondary aromas. Secondary aromas are all the aromas that are added or that are transformed as a consequence of the winemaking process. So secondary aromas are everything that is added or transformed inside the winery, if you wish. Inside a winery happens two main things. First is the fermentation. Of course, once you've pressed the wine or you've put all the grapes in a wine tank, then you ferment the wine. The yeasts are gonna process the aromas, heat the wine, transform the wine quite dramatically, and add or transform quite a lot of flavors, quite a lot of aromas through the fermentation process. Of course, the yeast do transform sugar into alcohol, but they also impact and interact with the rest of the wine, and they also liberate some byproducts of the fermentation that are going to impact the flavor and the aromas of the wine. You're going to have a lot of esters in that category, but also a lot of superior alcohols, that, as we call them, those are alcohols that are very big and heavy and that smell a little bit like cabbage, for example, or that can smell a little bit like garlic, these type of aromas. Second big thing that happens inside a winery is the maturation. We call it élevage in French. The maturation of the wine either in tank or in oak barrels. The oaky flavors that are sort of added or infused inside a wine also belong to the secondary aroma category. The flavors from oak that you know, the vanilla, the coconut, many spices like the clove, some nutmeg, some smoky wood smoke flavors as well are infused through the oak. All of this is in the secondary aromas category. The third category is everything that happens once the wine you can say leave the winery. Everything that happens once the wine is finished, it's bottled, and it matures inside the bottle. Tertiary aromas are all the aromas from the aging of the wine. So what happens here? Once the wine is bottled, you have primary aromas from the grapes, you have secondary aromas from the winery processes, as we talked about. Now, all of these aromas, they don't just stay the same inside the bottle. They interact with each other, the different molecules, they stick with each other sometimes to form different types of aromas. Some are broken down by the aging, by the light, by the temperature. They're broken down into different types of aromas that taste and smell differently. All of this breaking down, changing interaction of those different aromas inside the bottle while it ages, while it lays down in your cellar, those are tertiary aromas. They are often referred to as the bouquet of the wine. All of the aromas that come from the evolution of the wine that were not impacted by the grapes themselves or the winemaking process, but just the natural aging of the wine. Obviously, the bouquet of evolution tends to make the wine taste a little bit less fruity, because those fruity aromas tend to be broken down and modified over time, and you get the appearance of more aromas such as leathery characters, animal characters. We talk about horse staple characters, for example, animal fur characters. We talk about forest floor characters. Sometimes there are some more spicy characters as well, again like the clovey character. You talk about truffle characters as well that develop more specifically in red wine, but you can find them in white wines as well. In white wines you are going to be having more waxy characters, aromas of honey, because when those fruity aromas break down, well, they kind of tend to smell a bit more like wax and honey and less like fruit, and so all of those are tertiary characters. Obviously you can classify aromas with the fruity characters, the mineral characters, the animal characters, the grassy characters, the floral characters. That's another different way of characterizing and classifying aromas, but it's also very useful when you want to get and go very deep into understanding your wine when you smell it, to also have in mind this vertical categorization of aromas: primary from the grapes, secondary from the winemaking, tertiary from the evolution. So when you are identifying a specific aroma, you always have in mind where it comes from. If we talk about the pure fruit, the berries, primary aromas. If you talk about the coconut and the vanilla, or sometimes the banana, for example, well, that's from fermentation, from the aging at the winery. If we talk about the leather, the forest floor, the earthy characters, that's more often than not from tertiary aromas, the aging and the maturation of the wine inside your bottle. That was it for me today. I hope you found this useful. If you haven't watched yesterday's video where I shared thoughts about more primary aromas, the aromas from the grapes, well, feel free to watch that video. I also made a video talking specifically of why grapes are so fantastic for making wine, the acidity, the alcohol level. Why are grapes so naturally, somehow perfect for making the fine and complex beverage that we love? It's a fascinating video, I think, if you want to really go deeper and deeper inside your understanding of wine. I'll leave it here for today. Getting tired of talking, and I probably noticed that I'm going slow and slow as we go, but yeah, that's the fun of this TWWJ series. I will see you soon and try to share some simple thoughts about wine with you as we go. And yeah, make sure to stick around the channel if you're new here. I will see you soon in the wonderful world of wine. Cheers. Bye-bye.